Power 5 meteorologist Katie McGraw. Wanted to track some lake effect snow with you. We have been live for about a minute. We have 33 eyeballs on this. And so I just went ahead and shared to my own personal Facebook page. And so a great way, especially for folks that are maybe looking for weather information and don't want to wait until 11 o'clock tonight, this is a way for you to be able to then get that information. I have to record something around 9 p.m., so I'm going to go live for about 15 minutes, but I do want to just give you an update on what we're seeing across Northeast Ohio because it's definitely been impactful. So I'm going to give a couple of minutes here, or a couple seconds extra to get a couple more people eyes on this Facebook Live, and then we'll get started. So let me know in the comments here what you've seen today, because as lake effect goes, can you guys hear me too? Just make sure that everyone is able to get the information. If you're, just give me a thumbs up in the comments so that I know that you can hear me, and I could check myself as well. Maybe I'll do that real quick just to make sure that I'm not yapping away and no one can hear me. This music though, that's nice. And I can check myself. There we go. Well, yep. All right, perfect. You can hear me. All right, so yeah, let me know in the comments here areas that you have had some bad snow, and I can probably tell you where we've had it the worst this evening. Medina County, southern Cuyahoga. About 2 hours ago, it was looking pretty rough around the Brunswick, Strongsville area. Thankfully, it's pulled away and it's not just parking itself there. And this is due to the fact that we've had these northwesterly winds that are now becoming more westerly. So thankfully, it's not that fire hose situation where you can just get, sometimes feet of snow. That is not the scenario tonight. But as we have seen throughout this evening, earlier this morning, there's been periods of time where visibility is terrible, that you're getting accumulation on the roads. And for some folks, it's these back roads that maybe aren't as treated as much. My sister works out in Geauga County. She was saying, a lot of those roads out in Auburn, areas like that were pretty rough this evening. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Amanda. Parkman is another area, absolutely. Geauga from north to south, basically the entire county is dealing with some of that heavier snow. It's widespread, and then you get down into the south, right around Parkman where Amanda is. And we're going to flip over. This is going to say rain rate, but it's more like precip rate in this scenario. And you can see that the blue is where it's a lighter snow shower. Once you start to pick up these greens here, that's where you're getting to a moderate to even heavy precipitation. And so that's why Geauga County is dealing with such poor conditions. And they continue into Portage County as well, all the way down to Shalersville, Manaway, dealing with this more intense snow rate, which can coat roads quickly. It can deteriorate conditions really fast. Geauga County, Portage County, Ashtabula, Trumbull, you have my eyes for tonight, truthfully. While we had some bad snow in Medina County earlier today, just like an hour or two ago, I do think that as we move throughout this evening, get more of a westerly wind, we're going to start to pull these snow showers and these snow bands of lake effect snow farther up to the north and also the east. Heavy snow in Newberry and Geauga, absolutely. Any more snow for Barberton? So Barberton, I think that you're kind of in the thick of it at this moment. You're seeing, it's already kind of cleared up. So you're kind of like in that gapped space between bands. So you have the one band that extends from southern Lorain County all the way down to about Wayne County, but hitting Medina the hardest. Then we have this next one. It gets a little sloppy farther up to the north, but then you have this next band that goes into northern Portage, Geauga, and Lake. So Barberton kind of getting gapped. I think that there's still a possibility that you could see a little bit more snow. You're so close to this line here. And as those winds pull more westerly, the thing about lake effect snow, it's all about the winds. Of course, moisture is important in order to get the snow. The lake's important. Temperatures are important. But when it comes to where they're going to be positioned, winds are king. And so we had a northerly wind earlier, and that pulls, you get that Huron Lake connection, and it pulls really far south, goes farther to the west. You get a northwest primary, secondary snow belt. You get a westerly, it's primary snow belt, and then up into Pennsylvania as well. They get hit pretty hard in those locations. So as we look right now, you have those three kind of bands. It gets a little sloppy up to the north and east into Pennsylvania. But I want to show you what the future radar looks like. So here we are. I think it's a little fast because this is showing in a half hour and it's kind of ignoring that band right here. I would say add a band right in this area, but you can see what's happening, that's trying to pull farther to the north and east. And I think that once we get to the overnight period, 1 to 4 a.m. or so, we'll get a little bit of a break from the lake effect. That's the idea, that the winds will become so westerly that it pushes a lot of that, and even a little bit southwesterly, pushes a lot of that snow into northwest Pennsylvania. I have family in PA, and a lot of folks are, I mean, it's not too far away just to drive down I-90 there into Erie, Pennsylvania. And there's certainly spots in Erie County that are going to get pretty hard. Erie County, PA, not Ohio. And I do think that we're not quite done at the same time. So while we likely will get a little break overnight for a few hours for a lot of us, and I'm going to be watching it carefully because Ashtabula, you could still be getting a little bit of that fringe side of it. But a lot of us are going to be quiet. And then it tries to come back as we move into tomorrow morning. You see that? How we're starting to pull back. So the morning commute could once again be negatively impacted from the lake effect snow. Now, in terms of additional snowfall amounts, of course, just like lake effect always, it's going to be a bit of a range. I'll show you a computer model here that I think does a good job of picking up how we have these distinct bands. So I put these numbers on here around 5 p.m. this evening. So kind of going back to 5 p.m. So from this evening into tomorrow morning, I think that you're going to have these areas in Geauga County into northern Portage where a lot of folks getting that 2 to 4 inch range. More north you live, you're likely not seeing much more of that activity. So like northern Lake County, less than 2 inches expected there. And then also you had this area in Medina County earlier this evening, and that's where you had the potential for 2 to 4 inches there. So these maps, and also just above my head here, that's what I'm talking about in that overnight period into Northwest PA, where they're getting hit much harder than we are expected to. So we still have that threat for accumulation, particularly true overnight, well, in the next few hours, I should say. Next few hours for Geauga, Portage, Trumbull, and Ashtabula. So that little four corners here up into the most north and eastern portions of our viewing area. That's definitely where I think you're going to see the worst of it. Futurecast also showing us, let's keep going past tomorrow. Or past tomorrow morning, I should say. So you have the threat for additional lake effect snow in the morning. And then as we get into the afternoon, here we are where it pulls away again. It's just going to kind of waffle and wobble around our area. Quick little disturbance tries to move through in the evening. I do not think it'll be anything like the lake effect snow we've been dealing with. You might get a dusting of snow. It's a quick little in and outer. And then into Wednesday, most of us will be dry. Warmer temperatures will allow for rain to come back while it's still lake effect, seeing more of those temperatures in the mid 40s. So rain snow mix kind of setting up for Wednesday. And then finally we dry out by Thursday and temperatures a bit warmer. I'm traveling from Willowick to Brecksville for work. So are you leaving for tonight, Greg, or are you leaving tomorrow? Because there'll be different conditions. And truthfully, no matter where you're traveling, especially in that primary and secondary snow belt, my suggestion to you would be plan for rapidly changing conditions. Where even if at your house when you leave, like in Willowick, and it's not that bad, then as you're headed along and the conditions can deteriorate fairly quickly at times, where you drop that visibility and you get the crummy roads, that's something that we definitely just want to be aware of, that there's that possibility of it. So I think that if you're looking for tonight, I would say the next few hours, you certainly want to use extreme caution on the roads. We should start to see improvements towards about 11 midnight tonight, where we're starting to see that kind of pull away from our viewing area. And after midnight, there will be a period of time for a few hours where most of us will not be dealing with snow. At least that's how it's looking. Lake effect, I mean, if you're from Cleveland, you're probably very familiar with it, how fickle it can be, the large range and snowfall totals, and also just those small deviations in the winds. I mean, it can sometimes make your head spin, truthfully. So not getting too many questions. And thankfully, hopefully a lot of people are just kind of sitting tight at home. But I did want to pop on here. And like I mentioned, at 9 o'clock, I do have to record something for a later date here. And so I'm going to be watching the radar, though, for the rest of the evening, of course. And I might pop back on to Facebook Live. So if you do have additional questions, just look for that. And you can always get alerts, too, from following News 5. And if you're not familiar with me, I'm Katie McGraw, and I'll be on tonight again at 11 for our newscast with that latest information, and hopefully the forecast is holding up. It's one of those things, as a meteorologist, you always want to be right. And sometimes you got to just take it that the weather, especially when it comes to lake effect, you have to be a little bit more patient with it and just kind of trust the reality that there's times where it's going to do what it wants to do, even though everything's showing one thing. So that's definitely what I'm going to be monitoring over the course of the next 2 hours until we get to 11 o'clock news. But then even after that, and Trent McGill will be in early tomorrow morning. He gets in like 2 a.m. So passing ships in the night here. And he'll be then giving you those updates in the morning about what the morning commute looks like. And again, I'll show you Futurecast one more time. That shows it's trying really hard to pull these bands of lake effect snow, particularly after midnight, away from Northeast Ohio for a couple of hours. And then it sinks back south, giving us another chance for some lake effect as we move into tomorrow as well. All right, so I'm not getting too many questions, honestly. So hopefully everyone's just safe, curled up at home, because it is cold out there. Let's look at those wind chills really quick. It is frigid. Yikes. Wind chills right now in the teens, and 11 degrees in Akron. If you don't have to travel anywhere, particularly if you live from Medina, points up to the north and east, don't, because you don't want to have a situation where you are stranded on the side of the road or something and it's this cold outside. But the 7-day forecast has 60s in it. So regardless of what we get tonight, we're going to warm things up real fast. Wow, I'm right in the way of the information. Brego, you got to move. We'll move this for just a second. There it is. So you can see we're going to get pretty warm. Rain looks likely for the Browns game as well as they come back into town. All right, well, thank you so much for all the 250 people that we have on here. And it was just a quick little update that I wanted to do. As I mentioned, I'm going to continue to monitor the trends, and I am cautiously optimistic that we're going to see improving conditions in the next few hours, particularly after midnight. But we're not quite done. Additional lake effect snow is expected for tomorrow for Veterans Day. Thank you to all of our veterans, by the way, for tomorrow. And if you have any plans for Veterans Day to honor, or maybe you are a vet, that tomorrow we still have that threat for some snow. More of a rain-snow mix for Wednesday. Then we dry up for a brief period of time here. Then we warm up and we start to see more of that rain potential Saturday and Sunday. All right, I want everyone to be very safe. Thank you so much for joining me on this Facebook and X and YouTube. I appreciate you all very much, and have a safe night.